Welcome to the Foundry, where leaders are forged daily. And now your host, George Roberts.
Welcome back, entrepreneurs. Today we welcome Alina Trigub, founder of Samo Financial, her education and private coaching business, and investor relations at TF Management Group, LLC. Welcome to the show, Alina.
Thank you, George. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So it's great to have you here today, and I'd like to give you an opportunity to give yourself an extended introduction. Tell us about your journey into commercial real estate.
Thank you, George. Before commercial real estate, my journey has really started almost 30 years ago when my mom and I immigrated to United States as a poor immigrant from what used to be Soviet Union. And I was at the point where I was deciding what kind of career I want to have and which school to go to. I chose City University of New York because it was more accessible and it did not require significant loans. As someone who's was not used to the loan culture at the time, I couldn't fathom the idea that I would take a huge loan and go to private college. That turned out to be a great idea. So I got my degree in accounting, worked as a tax accountant for both private and public world. Didn't really like that area and decided that I want to change into another world and go work in another industry. So by chance, I ended up in the information technology world where I had a successful 20+ year career and had a great progression in general. And while in that career, my title was advancing along with my salary as well as my husband's. And I kept thinking that I need to find a way to save on taxes for our family. And I kept thinking of finding such way. So I've been doing a ton of research and the real estate kept coming up. So it's been on my mind for years. And then finally, about 7-8 years ago, I decided to take action. I figured it's now or never. So I did my research. And after a ton of different trial and errors, I invested in my first real estate syndication. And that was also a extremely stressful experience that we can cover in a separate interview if anyone is interested in that experience, because essentially I was putting a large sum of money with someone I've never met in person before into a property that I've never seen in real life before, only online. So it was pretty challenging, but let me tell you, once I pulled the trigger, once I invested in that first syndication, the snowball effect worked perfectly, and I continued investing in a number of syndications, and then shared my experience with my surrounding, my friends and my coworkers. And let me tell you, I was shocked to hear that most people have never heard of this passive way to invest in real estate. Syndication seemed like a foreign word to almost everyone I talked to. And at that point, an idea came to mind. What if I start my own company that would help other people follow my footsteps, build wealth passively, diversify out of stock market? I mean, everybody knows what's going on with the stock market nowadays, and be able to save on taxes at the same time. I mean, it seemed like an incredible opportunity. And that's how Samo Financial was born, with that goal in mind of helping other people to understand how this passive way to invest work and to start investing in real estate. While I was doing that, pandemic happened, and my job, just like job for many other people, was eliminated. And at that point, I decided that I'm gonna go full-time into real estate. So it's been almost 2 years at this time, and I'm super grateful that it happened. My only regret is that it didn't happen sooner than that. Not pandemic, no, my pink slip. I wish I left my job much sooner than 2 years ago, because it's been been liberating. I mean, I'm doing what I love doing. And a little over a year ago, I was introduced to Mike Zlatnik, who is a fund manager for TF Management Group. And TF Management is a real estate fund management company that concentrates on building real estate funds that allow folks to invest and find the product that aligns with their investment goal. And so I've been spearheading the investor relations effort for TF Management Group while still growing my company, Samo Financial, on the side. And it's been really amazing journey. And, here to tell you that, yes, you can definitely go from W-2 to being an entrepreneur, business owner, and it takes a lot of effort, work, dedication, sweat, equity, and grit, but it's absolutely doable and achievable.
Awesome. That's an amazing story. And I love many of the elements that you have in your story. Our stories are parts of the element of my story as well. I love IT. It was a great place to build up some capital to invest in real estate. And I also thank you for bringing out the LP experience. I think many times that is underrated. So it sounds like that was a great on-ramp for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I honestly started looking initially into other areas, just like most folks, fix and flip, buy and hold. Fix and flip was not a choice for me simply because as a former tax accountant, I was thinking this is ordinary income. I don't want this to be taxed at my tax rate. So that was removed from my list of things to look at. And then I was looking at the buy and holds, but I'm in New Jersey. So I would look at the numbers and say, this is crazy. I can't afford this. Number one, expensive house, then huge taxes on top of it. How am I going to make money? Plus, New Jersey is one of those pure states that's tenant friendly. So this would not have been beneficial for me as a landlord to buy something here. And syndications came on my radar as one of those passive investing strategies. And I was thinking to myself at the time, I can invest in real estate, do it without any interruption to my day-to-day job at that time, without any interruption to my family routine and everything, and still make money, and said, this is amazing, and save on taxes. So I dived into it, and I'm happy and grateful that I did. I'm still in the field.
Amazing. Yeah. And as somebody who did it backwards, I became a passive investor after becoming an active investor for a long time. That's definitely do it Alina's way. Ease into it. There's no shame in being passive and learning and keeping your W-2 going a little longer. So do you have any particular advice for people that are looking to go transition, say, from a W-2? Are you somebody who would recommend getting the side hustle started or just jumping into it?
The answer is it depends. And yes, I know I probably sound as a tax accountant saying that the answer is it depends. It's not black and white. But in general, the way I see it is if you have a family to support, which was the case for me, I wasn't comfortable to just diving into it completely and giving up my W-2 income. And that was the main reason why I started it on the side. As someone who immigrated here with no money in my pocket, I'm used to relying on myself to support myself, my family, and so forth. So I couldn't fathom the idea that I would just leave my job and let my husband take us, even though he was fully supportive and he said that we can do it. I just personally could not do it. Just not my type of personality. In general, so weigh both pros and cons. If you can leave your job and start doing it full time, of course you will escalate your progress. If it's easier for you to do it slowly on the side to see how it's going to play out, then that's an option as well. But before you even consider entrepreneurship, I would say the most important first step is to have an open mindset. And for someone who had a corporate career of 20 plus years, I can tell you that I did not have an open mindset. It took several years of working on myself, reading a bunch of books, surrounding myself with other entrepreneurs, going to events like Tony Robbins events that was here about 4 years ago, which was completely life-changing experience. All of that compiled, and rereading some of the books such as, again, Tony Robbins, Empower the Giant Within, or Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning, and so forth. All of that combined laid the foundation that helped me to establish my business and continue moving forward every time I had an obstacle, because believe it or not, you will have obstacles, and your determination, grit, and desire to succeed will ensure that that's possible.
Alina, you're somebody who has been a leader both in a corporate environment as well as an entrepreneur. I would love for you to compare and contrast the two and tell us how you grew from one role to the other, or also you could tell us maybe how things transferred or didn't transfer from your corporate leadership role.
So as someone who worked in corporate environment, I was used to following the orders and listening to the boss all the time. I didn't understand that, there is a way to actually come up with your own business, build something of your own, which can benefit other people, and by the same token, help you grow as a person, as an individual, meet like-minded folks, and be able to make an impact and help many other people. And when I started reading books about personal development, another great book that I'm thinking about is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Amazing book. I probably read it 3 or 4 times. It helped me throughout my journey to understand myself better, understand what my strengths and weaknesses are, and how to play out and use more of my strength to move the business forward, and how to leverage other people's expertise in the areas where I had weaknesses, instead of just trying to grow in multiple areas at the same time and continuously changing hats from one to another. So that was instrumental, opening my mind to other opportunities, seeing that there is a way at the end of the tunnel, and being able to determine that, yes, I can be an entrepreneur. I don't have to depend on this W-2 forever. There are ways to build income on your own. Plus, there are ways where you can create channels that will allow you to come up with a passive income, like a real estate. And that was absolutely incredible, mind-blowing opening for me. And I took advantage of this passive income streams. And to this day, I'm grateful that I found these opportunities and still taking advantage of them.
That's beautiful. And I just love to hear your story about how somebody, even an accomplished leader in one field, can grow so much once you start to execute on your own vision as an entrepreneur. I wish it's something that more people would take advantage of. And I think that with so many people working online these days, the opportunity to start that side hustle has never been greater. So I hope some of our listeners or viewers will appreciate that. And definitely, if you're thinking about starting a business, give it a try, especially if you've got a W-2 to back you up. You've got very little to lose.
George, completely agree. And I would say, don't feel lonely. Don't just read books and stay in your own little circle. Definitely reach out to other people. You'd be amazed how many people are willing and able to help other folks. So find communities of like-minded entrepreneurs, depending on what your hobby or interests are, whether it's photography, golf, or something else. Just find like-minded people, join the groups, hang out, talk to them. And it's incredible how much help and support you can get from other people. And let me tell you, it helps tremendously to continue moving forward when you experience certain challenges and thinking, was I right in starting this? Should I give up now, or should I wait a little bit longer? It's incredible how much support of other like-minded entrepreneurs means and can help you to elevate and help you to focus on your business.
So true. One of the things I love the most about entrepreneurship is this tribe that I've been building up around me. It's completely different than my coworkers at work. these are people that you can truly depend on for support. And I find that's really what makes deal making fun. Every time I make a deal, I get to make new friends and I get to cultivate new friendships. So amazing, amazing story. I'd like to talk more about leadership. Can you tell us what would be the most important lesson in leadership that you've learned?
One of the most important lessons, because I think there are plenty, is leadership by example. So if I am leading a team, the most critical skill for me is to make sure that what I am doing, my action, reflect what I want my team members to do. I want to empower them to take ownership of specific projects and make the decisions on their own, not be completely dependent on me or not waiting for me for making certain decisions. And for me, empowering others to do more and continuously educating folks and continuously sharing my experiences and giving them constructive feedback is absolutely essential, because we as individuals grow when we get feedback from others, when we know what can be changed to make, number one, the relationship better, and number two, to improve the processes and procedures. Because if you want a company to grow, you need to have a friendly, open atmosphere where everyone feels absolutely at ease when they want to reach out to someone to either provide feedback or discuss some important topics, or even talk about some maybe personal family problems about, let's say, taking the time off to do something for the family and stuff. When the company has such a friendly, family-oriented atmosphere, it makes it so much easier for folks around you to come to work and do their work and enjoy it, and look up to you as a leader, because they know you're the person who will offer them support no matter what, and regardless of the mistakes they will make. And again, we're all humans, we're all making mistakes, including myself. I'm guilty of that also. They know that there is no one to blame, and you as the leader will help them to correct those issues and continue move forward, and just take that as an educational lesson.
Great stuff. Now, one of the things we haven't really hit on too much is commercial real estate. So you took us through your story. You started with the obvious things, the fix and flips, the duplexes, limited partnership. Tell us how you built that into your current commercial real estate success.
Sure. Thank you, George. So when I discovered passive real estate investing, again, with that snowball effect, I've invested in quite a few in this 8 years. And as I discovered passion and interest in the commercial real estate, I continued diving into understanding not just the real estate, but also the property management aspects, the construction aspects, how the syndication works. I was a general partner on one of the syndications, which were already sold, and that's another lesson learned that I'm planning to prepare a use case on. But all of these experiences kind of shaped me into who I am today, and they helped me to compile the knowledge that I'm passing through my coaching program to my students that want to escalate their progress in learning how to become successful passive investors and build a nest egg for their families, and do it again completely independently and without any impact to their day-to-day life, hobbies, careers, and businesses, and so forth. All of that possible. And again, you can go the long way by reading books, researching and learning yourself, or by working with a coach. It doesn't have to be me. You can hire someone else. But when you work with someone who already has done it and went through many obstacles and hit many roadblocks in a way, you're essentially escalating your progress and making sure that your journey is much shorter, and you can start building that nest egg much faster for your family. I hope that answers your question.
Perfectly. And if they want to know more about that, I believe that you have a great YouTube channel. Is there anywhere else that they should look for Samo Financial?
Thank you, George. Yes, they can find me on samafinancial.com. It has all of the links to my YouTube channel where, yes, my animation videos are posted that are purely educational. I'm sorry, you won't see Ben and Jerry cartoons there. I also run a virtual real estate meetup where we have presenters not just from the commercial real estate, but from other areas of real estate, and folks talk about various aspects of real estate investing in general. I also write articles that are posted on Facebook, Bigger Pockets, LinkedIn, on my website that are, again, educational in nature, and through TF Management Group, where I spearhead investor relations, and we help investors to find the right investments for them, whether it's funds or syndication, because we do both here as well. So all of these channels are open to folks to consume, digest, and reach out and ask me questions.
Great. Yeah, I hope people actually do go out and look at your videos. I don't know if this one made it to YouTube, but you recently had one about managing expectations with your children and making sure that they grow up to be appreciative. So definitely go check out Alina's videos.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so you mentioned that getting a coach is a great way to sort of increase your trajectory. Maybe you could tell us, I don't know if you went the coaching route when you were earlier in your career or not, but is there anything you could identify that you wish you would have known back then, or something that, wow, if I would have started doing this a few years ago, that this really would have made a difference in my career?
So yeah, I did work with a coach, and I think that escalated my progress tremendously. I wish I knew at that time what I know now. It would have helped me even more. But again, with the coach, he was able to kind of put me on the right path to learn the fundamentals of the real estate and the deal making a lot faster. So that has helped a lot. And after that, I believe in a continuous learning and education. So I've been part of a lot of educational seminars, webinars, masterminds, and all. And while maybe not all of them helpful, I believe that majority are, at least 60 to 70% are very, very helpful. First of all, because they provide a ton of education. Second of all, because I meet a ton of amazing entrepreneurs who are also looking to succeed and make it in this world. So it's always great to meet other people and become friends, collaborate, or even work together down the road. So that's always a bonus in each case.
Great stuff. And I don't think we've talked much yet, if at all, about markets. And markets, I think that's something that I see as being in flux. Certainly anybody who's been following macroeconomics, which I think our audience should be following quite a bit, sees a lot of shifts. So I'd like to know what markets you are investing in and why, and is that changing as a result of the macroeconomic landscape?
For sure. So as an individual, I like to be diversified. We do the same thing at TF Management Group. We actually do diversification in 3 different ways. Number 1, geographically. Number 2, across different asset types, such as storage, multifamily, industrial, and so forth. And number 3, we're investing in various real estate investment strategies, core plus, value add, conversions, and so forth. And all of that done is to mitigate risks, because for us, we have to serve our investor community, and our community is people that have accumulated certain wealth and they don't want to lose it. So the main goal is to preserve capital. The second main goal is to make money, but we need to work on both in tandem at the same time. So whatever investments we're making, we cannot guarantee that this is a safe investment, and we never guarantee. And I always tell people, it's not FDIC insured and you can lose all your money. But what we do is, when we make a specific investment, either as LP position or a co-GP position, we always look at the risks involved with the project. That's number 1. And number 2, which is even more important, is how are we able to mitigate these risks? And now that we had pandemic started, now we're looking at the risks associated with pandemic and how these risks can be mitigated. And as you mentioned, the markets are now are undergoing certain challenges. I spoke with someone who is very active in a short-term rental market. So they told me they see softening in multiple states, Florida, Tennessee, Carolinas. We see the softening even in commercial real estate, but a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, real estate is hyper-local. Number two, as an investor or as an operator, you look at the project and you look at the potential risks and how these risks are mitigated and decide whether it's the project to undertake or whether it's the project you want to invest. Again, depending from which angle you look in. And as an investor, I can tell you, when I look at the investment, I look at their loan, what is the loan to value? Is it too tight? What kind of terms have they gotten? Do they have any defeasance or any other penalties on a loan? And how will it impact us? Can they hold the property for longer term if there is a need? What is the break-even point? Have they done stress testing? All of these factors are fundamentals that need to be taken into account. And if the operator takes it into account and presents all of it as an open floor to the investor, then it's something that I want to consume and determine whether it makes sense for me. But if none of the fundamentals, or if most of the fundamentals are not shared, then I have this big question, and I'm thinking, if the operator have not thought it through and he's presenting it to investors, is it even worth my time considering? I'm at the point where I prefer not to lose my investment. I don't want to make crazy big bucks like 33% IRR or anything. I want to make a decent IRR, but as an investor, I want to make sure that the operator is doing everything in their power to protect the project from the potential risks and implementing the mitigation strategies. I know it was a lot, and again, if we need to digest or split any of it and talk.
That's perfect, actually. I think you've given us either a great checklist if you are a general partner, and if you are running these deals in an active way, or if you're a limited partner, make sure that this is addressed in the PPM or in the webinar. And if it isn't, you might want to ask, well, hey, what sort of stress testing have you done? And what are your plans, for example, if interest rates shoot way up? Actually, that's a question I'd like to ask you. You've seen that interest rates have gone up recently, and as we record this in the middle of May, we'll probably be releasing in June. I wonder if those increases in interest rates have changed your plans in any material way.
They have. I'm looking at the potential projects and investments more carefully. As I mentioned, I'm looking at what kind of loan terms the operators are getting. I'm looking at their strategy, the implementation strategy for each investment, and I'm looking at the projects that are more conservative in nature. And with that, I can tell you that, let's say it's a brand new construction, I would probably not look at it. The supply chain has been broken for a long time, and I don't think I feel comfortable to consider brand new construction at this point. We're not at the point yet where I can fully rely on a project plan that says we're going to build this property in, let's say, 2 years. To me, it's still a big question mark, and that's just my personal opinion. I may be right or I may be wrong, but my preference is to stay within value add space where I know that there is a property in place. Yes, it may require some renovations and repositioning, but if I know that the operator is well known to the market, has the plan in place, and ideally has been fully integrated with their own property management and construction management team, then I know that they've planned it out and they will be able to implement their plans.
Yeah, I think a lot of great advice there. Listeners, I'm hearing a lot of the same things from many people that I'm interviewing these days, and it resonates perfectly with my approach. I am a little bit more on defense these days, and I'm a little down on those hot markets. You mentioned some of those hot markets that I've liked in the past, and some which I still do to some degree, but I've really been moving a lot towards what I would call the more defensive markets. One of the things I've noticed is that rents have gone up like crazy. We've had a lot of inflation. A lot of it went into housing. And a lot of that housing inflation has gone into these hot markets. I don't know how sustainable that is, but I know that some of these more affordable markets are much less likely to crash. So I'm glad that you're out there looking at the financial landscape and doing your very best for those investors to make sure that they're able to hold on to that hard-earned money. So great work. I think I see that you've obviously covered the bases. So definitely, like I said, these are many questions you're going to want to ask if you're a limited partner. Now, I think that I would love to continue talking about commercial real estate, but I think we should probably head into the lightning round so that we can wrap up. And I know people have a busy life. It's hard to listen to a 40-minute podcast. All right. Ready for the lightning round?
I am.
All right. Tell us something about one of your real estate markets that most people would not know.
So when I started, I thought that I should only invest in the primary markets for many reasons. And later I realized that my concentration should be secondary markets. And again, it's personal preference, but primary markets are more often than not overpriced, extremely overpriced. And that's why the entrance rate is a lot higher. And secondary markets, while act in more of a supportive role, but they provide a lot more opportunities to this day. So definitely look at the secondary markets. Yes, you want to have the infrastructure in place. You want to make sure there is a job growth, population growth, and all of that good stuff. But look at the markets that are still in that developing phase and are on the path to progress and have the abilities to continue to cash flow for many years ahead.
What is some advice you would give your younger self?
Invest in real estate when you're much younger in life.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of good and bad advice floating around in any field. I'd like to start with the best advice. What is the best advice that you've received or the best advice that you would give others in real estate?
The best advice that I would give in real estate is measure 7 times before cutting once.
Love it. I just got my hair cut yesterday, and that advice is very near and dear to my heart. So I'm very glad that my hairstylist did a good job. Didn't go overboard.
He did, George. Yeah, it looks
Thank
good.
you. All right. Now, as I mentioned, there's always bad advice in any field. So what is the worst advice that you've heard, or give us a misstep that you see people making that you'd like to help others avoid?
So partnering with someone that you just met on the street, whether it's for joint venture or syndication, never, ever do that. And I would say consider it a business marriage. So just like in any marriage, I highly recommend doing a prenup and making sure you hire an attorney that helps you create a contractual agreement that has as many what-if clauses as possible. What if we have different opinion about this? Who decides on the strategy? What is the split? What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? Again, have as much of those what if clauses in that operating agreement written by an actual attorney and not just a template, boilerplate template from the internet as possible.
Wow, I don't think I've ever gotten such a pithy response. Yeah, those boilerplates, LLC operating agreements are kind of garbage. If you ever get hauled in front of a judge, they can tell whether you put some thought into that and whether you're actually abiding by your operating agreement. Love it. 2 episodes in a row talking about the importance of partnership. Don't partner up too quickly, and how partnership is like a marriage. Now, I'm not going to ask you about books that have helped to forge you as a leader and entrepreneur, because I think you've given us already 3 or 4. But I do have one last curveball for you. How about telling us about how a failure or a misstep in your career has set you up for later success?
So I don't know if it was a failure, but the reason I chose accounting is because, again, I was a poor immigrant and I was trying to use logic and think what kind of profession would help me make money, because, you know, I have lived in poverty, and someone told me stereotypically, hey, you're good with numbers, you'll be good in accounting. Yes, I'm good with numbers. I love math, algebra, and everything else. But let me tell you, I hated accounting, and, you know, after taking 9 accounting courses, I couldn't stand it, and I went to work into the field only because you know, the compensation was extremely high. But it took me almost 5 painful years to realize that this was not the field to me, and I had to leave. But accounting and the companies where I worked, starting with Ernst & Young, which used to be part of the big accounting 5 at the time, taught me a lot. And I took a ton of skills from those corporate jobs and from my accounting and tax background into my future careers and future businesses and into the real estate now. I think my education and my experience at the time has helped me tremendously to improve my progress in learning the commercial real estate. So I'm grateful for that foundation. I'm grateful for all the lessons I learned while working at that big 5 accounting firm. And even though they were working us to death, I was literally working 24/7 every single day of the week during the busy season. That taught me a specific work ethics set that I'm taking now and shaping into something that works best for me. And I'm teaching other people how to apply those skills and not to do it, actually. So that helped me to determine what should not be done when you're working, because health is priority number 1 and family is priority number 2. So in order for those two to exist, you need to set certain limits on how much time you're putting, whether it's your own business or whether you're working for someone else. So that helped me to create the lessons about not working 24/7 and share it with other people. Sorry if the answer was too long.
Beautiful. And I would say great to the point, particularly if you're a student out there listening today. Accounting, I think, is an amazing choice. It gets your finger right on the pulse of business. It's literally the lifeblood of business. So glad to see that you were able to take that background and make such valuable use of it. Let's send the audience out with a favorite quote of yours.
So I'll use the quote that is on my business card, although it's been a while since I hand out business cards. Everything is virtual now. The quote is by Warren Buffett, one of my favorite investors, and it says something to the extent, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone else had planted the tree a long time ago. I live by this quote.
Wonderful. I want to thank you so much, Alina, for all the value you've provided today. Listeners, I hope you've been taking notes, because I see a lot of actionable intelligence here. Thank you so much, Alina.
Thank you, George, for having me on.